Crime. From cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off into fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. This is fitting, isn't it? Anyhow, I wanted to say hello and take a moment of silence after I say Happy Memorial Day to everybody that sacrificed for this country. Memorial Day is observed, and many people think, it's a day to be hungover or that we get to take off work, and it's true, but it's also to observe the people that honored our country, and that's more than 1 million American military personnel who made the supreme sacrifice in serving with the U.S. military. So thank you all that have served. If I don't know who you are and I don't recognize you personally, I want to say thank you as you all roll in. So court comes back tomorrow for Corey Micciolo. Let's get justice for Corey. I believe we're still speculating on if Christopher Gregor is going to testify. He is a narcissist, and I believe that he may want to get his word out there. So as you all roll in, Nancy Lopez, hello. Happy Memorial Day. Mary Omer, a day to honor those that have fallen, as well as the ones that are serving now. They deserve the utmost respect. I couldn't do that, so I appreciate you all. Thanks, mods, for being here. Carly, always appreciate you. What's up, M? Brie, I think she might be in here somewhere. I haven't seen her, but I was just talking with her. She should be. Katie, thank you for becoming a new member. Gemma, new member. All right, we have a lot of new subscribers, folks. We hit that 10,000 mark last night, and now we're up to 10,300 and something or other. So I appreciate all of you for making that happen. Thank you, Marissa Fontaine, for the super sticker. I went on to Duty Ron today, and I must say, I was a bit nervous. All right. I was a little bit star-stricken. I was fangirling over Duty Ron and Ed. I am into forensics from day one. I've studied forensics. I've watched the forensic files. And that's not even the real thing. Ed is great. Ed with Duty Ron, Crime Time. Absolutely love it. I fangirled, but I got to get out information on the Madeline Soto case. And on that note, we should start the show. I wanted to make sure everyone rolled in, hit that like button as you do. After that 10,000 mark, the day ones are gone. I will be doing a day one hoodie when I get the shop set up. We're fangirling over you. Thank you, JoJo. I appreciate you all. Yes, Juror 13 made it. Juror 13 is an absolute day one. Thank you. Lifted, working. I saw you were on your third podcast. You did great, and I like how they seem more relaxed with you on, and I appreciate that. I was nervous inside, but I hope I didn't show it. So everybody hit that like. Thanks, Carly, for being here. Funny as I am drooling over you. We'll get a napkin because we got a while to be here. That's funny, Jan on the Lamb. All right, so things are happening because of you all. And today we're talking about Corey, and I want to show you an interview that I don't think many of you have seen. Nobody sent it to me. I hadn't seen it. This is much different than the interview that originally I had played parts of, and it's Brie Micciolo. Now, Brie Micciolo has been trying to fight for justice for some time, and I hadn't come across this, but it's the very beginning, and she tells the story. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. She tells the story in her own words about what happened to her. Let me stop having malfunctions here. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this gentleman. I had never heard of him before. And let me get back to this. I have never heard of Tales from the Pen. Have you? Anyway, I'd never heard of him, and I came across Tales from the Pen where Brie did an interview. This was 2 years ago, and I want to get her on my channel now. I'm going to show you this. We're going to talk about it. I had never seen this. I've never seen this guy. I reached out to him and said, shout out on his channel. He hit me back. So hopefully it's okay to play his video. But it's called Tales from the Pen, and it's in Brie's words about what happened to her. So we're going to hear it from her, not just Brie was essayed and got pregnant, whatever. I want you guys to hear this. I wonder how she got hooked up with him. I don't want to say much. I'll let you guys watch. And of course, I'm going to commentate. But listen to this. And don't forget, if Carly, if you could drop his link, Tales from the Pen, so that people don't forget about his channel, go over there. Not now, but go subscribe. And let's check out this conversation he has. And let's get Brie on my channel. I think we could do it, don't you?
Salute, people. Can everybody hear me? I got this new headphone jack. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me first. Peace. I see you, Nate. Let me see here.
All right, so we'll start when Brie comes on. This guy is not an author. He's probably from prison or jail, folks. You'll see as he starts talking, and I've watched some of his stuff. It looks like he may be an ex-addict, or I know he's from prison, but you'll see as we go. Anyhow, he got this great interview with Brie, and that's what I want to do, but I hadn't seen it before, and now we get to hear it in her words.
Okay, great. I got these new headphones, and my daughter was trying to show me. So, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Okay. For those who don't know who you are, introduce yourself.
I'm Corey's mother, Brianna Micciolo. I go by Brie, though. I don't like my full name, so.
No, right? No, I hear you.
All right. You haven't heard this before, probably. I haven't heard this from before. This is Brie. This is 2 years ago. She's talking about what happened, how it happened. And Maya, I wanted to find you because you did call it out. I didn't think it was going to happen. If you guys have seen this, put a 2 in chat, please. If you haven't seen it, put a 1. I'm curious. I hadn't seen it, and I can get Brie on my show. I'm pretty sure I'm going to reach back out to this guy and see if he can hook me up with that.
First and foremost, thank you for coming up on the Tales.
My mom's also here.
Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how do I help you? I'm trying to figure out how to get her in it too. Oh, you don't have
I
to.
see it.
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, her mom's there for part of it too, which is awesome. So, yes.
She's there. You know, as long as we can hear her, it's all good. First of all, again, thank you guys for coming up here. I know this is trying times. This is troubling times. You know, we as the Tales family, we can't even imagine what you're going through. But just know that you have our support, and you have our love, and we want to get a little bit into your story and the beginnings of it. So tell us about beautiful baby boy. Tell us about Corey.
Well, he was a 6-year-old boy. He's beautiful. He was very smart, artistic. He was always happy. He was very strong. But do you want to say something?
Yes, folks, this is after Corey's death. I won't stop the whole time and answer questions. We'll wait, but I will stop a little bit just to lay down the foundation and the context. Yes, this is after. You can hear how she's talking about him. All right, so let's listen to this. This is exactly from her mouth what I've been telling you.
No, I understand. Stuff like this is hard. I get it, so you take your time and, you talk about what you want to talk about, Brie. I know this is very tough and this is a very emotional time. And, and I just want to make sure you're comfortable. So whenever, if you're comfortable speaking, we can speak. If not, we could even put this off. I don't want you to,
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to put that out there because, we're not about the suffering, I want you to be able to, I want you to be able to get your justice so that you and your family can finally start to really mourn, So tell us, so tell us about the beginnings of Corey with his dad and, how was that relationship?
Well, he didn't know, he didn't meet Corey until he was 5. He knew of him. He knew I was pregnant. He knew I had Corey, and he knew he was the father the whole time. But he told me he was too busy with college and whatever he had going on. And he never told his parents or his family about Corey. And then when he was 5 years old, I went to court to get child support. And then unfortunately, he had to take a DNA test, which then I guess he decided he wanted to get visitation and rights and everything. And I think that was,
Okay.
because his parents wanted him to. I think they found out around that time, and they kind of like forced him on it.
How was Corey about seeing his dad, or even having a dad in his life, or because I know around that time a lot of kids, mommy, daddy, how was that dynamic?
I guess like in the beginning when we first talked to him about it, he was, kind of excited to have a dad.
All right, so you're hearing from the beginning what's going on. If you're new to this case or the channel, we're talking about the Treadmill murder. Corey Micciolo was the victim. Brie Micciolo is his mom. She's telling our story. Most of us are watching the trial right now, and I'm doing this before the trial starts again tomorrow. And most of you haven't seen this. I hadn't seen it, and this is a beautiful interview. It's sad, but it gives us the real deal from the backstory. And I'm calling Brie out because I want her on my channel. I want to do an interview with her, and any support she needs, I want to help. So let's try to get her on the channel.
But, the first time he had a visit with his dad, he came home and he was just a different kid. I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked being there. It was strange. And after that, I guess the second time he saw him was when he came home with a busted lip. So,
Did he? Well, okay. So wait. So Corey came home with a busted lip,
right?
And did he tell you what happened, or?
Well, Chris dropped him off. Didn't explain what happened, and then when Corey came inside, I was able to see that he, his lip was swollen and he had like blood on his shirt. So then we asked Corey what happened, and he kind of didn't want to tell us. He was afraid.
So if anybody knows about the case, if you guys can help the chatters, he was definitely Corey's biological dad. He was Corey's biological dad because he SA'd her and she got pregnant. He told her to get an abortion, and there you have it. That's where the story began. So I love you all. If you got to catch up, go back to the playlist. We'll do a recap later, but right now I just want to hear her beautiful words and about this beautiful little boy. Yeah, and if chatters could answer any questions and help me out, that'd be great.
At first, and then he finally told us that he cursed and his dad smacked him in the mouth.
Okay.
So then we went to the police station, and the police station called CPS, Child Protective Services, for us. But Corey was too afraid to tell them what happened, and Chris's excuse was that he kicked him in the face when he was going to kick a soccer ball, and they believed him.
Okay, so that was the first incident.
Yeah.
What was there any after that?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay. You don't have to maybe go in order. You could just give me like basis of like during the abuse or during whatever was happening. How did he come back with bruises here, bruises there, things like that?
So the time after that, it was around Halloween time.
This is where it all begins, folks. He started with kicking him in the face with the soccer ball, and Corey was apprehensive about going to his dad's house. Now we know why he started. She'll talk about it, but she was needing assistance to raise a child. That she was 16 when she got pregnant by this guy that was 22 or 23. He should have been arrested for doing that to a minor, first of all, and then this happens.
And Corey came home with like, what would you call it? Like, it looked like rug burn, but I think it was from the treadmill. Well, it was from the treadmill. And it was like just like a scrape all up and down his arms, and then on his sides and on his legs. And then it looked like he had like a handprint on his face. It was, and I asked Corey what happened, and he told me that his dad made him run on the treadmill because he was too fat. And then when I asked Chris about it, he told me he did, and that Corey needed to work out more, and he was too fat, and
So that's when he came home with the with the scrapes on his face?
There was a bruise on his face that looked like the handprint, and then
Okay.
on his arm, he had like scrapes all up and down his arms.
Oh, okay. Was that the video that, because a lot of people
No,
who
no.
may not know. Okay, so that's a different incident than the
That
actual
this is
video.
we're still in 2019 right now. This is when
Wow.
he first met him. Yeah, and that was no. And then what I
So,
mean,
it was a long history. It was a history in the short time that he was in Corey's life.
yeah,
And it was a short time because we know Corey was 6 and he started being in his life when he was what, 4, or right around the time he was 5. So it wasn't that long. And the mom tried to intervene. I put MG, the OG, up because last night I was on a live stream. I just went up on their panel and they were talking about assault and, CSAM and all that. And a lot of times when women have or are assaulted in that way, they turn to drugs. Now, I'm not giving Brie an excuse, but I believe she did turn to drugs because of what happened to her. That's a big correlation with the two, people being assaulted and turning to drugs. So, no excuses, but that was a conversation I had last night online.
I mean, he's had black eyes. He's had busted lips.
Right. I know you've taken him to the hospital and things like that. I read some things. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So 2 weeks before he passed away, or I would say 13 days because that's the exact time, Corey lifted his hair and he showed me this bruise on his forehead. And I said, "What is that from?" And he was like, "Well, my dad made me get on the treadmill and made me run really fast. And I fell. And, I'm sick of this by this time. I was like, I'm calling CPS and I'm not taking no for an answer. That's it. It's like, I've had it."
Why you say it like you've reached out to them before, right? For the other cases, right?
Every time there's a bruise or anything, I called them. I made reports. They investigated. Chris came up with some BS story and Corey was too afraid to tell. So case closed, even though there's these bruises, and you would think if someone saw them, they'd immediately be like, "There's something wrong here." But
right. Okay. So basically what we're painting a picture of, there was a history in the short time that he was in his life, and because of court orders, you still had to.
So now we're fast forwarding to the trial, and then there's going to be a civil trial after. If they don't settle, she's going to sue, and we could talk about that later. However, I want to get Brie on after all of this ends. As soon as court's over, I want to be able to get her on the channel so she can talk about her perspective now, how it's changed her life, and about Corey and justice. So Jay did Duty Ron thing. Yeah, I was on Duty Ron today, folks. Go check it out. We can link it in chat. It's about Madeline Soto.
yeah,
You still
exactly.
you still have to let him see him, basically.
Yeah.
Because all the cases were dismissed.
Right. So then, after Corey told me that, I made the report. And then I guess in that time, I told them that Corey told me it happened at a gym. And I told them what time around it was. So I guess they went and looked at the video, the surveillance video from the gym. And I guess it was caught on video. I haven't seen the video yet because I just can't bring myself to watching it. But
I don't blame her.
The way it's described is, it's not good.
I read it. Yeah. I read the report, and it's not nice. Not nice what he did. And so basically, that's his charge, the only charge that he has, which we will get to in a minute. Okay, so take us to if you want to, and go through a little bit, because I want my.
Again, that's his side. I have it at 1.25 speed for you. If I need to slow it down, let me know. This interview is very important for you all to know what happened before and how Brie Micciolo tried to save her son, despite the fact that she did methamphetamines and that she was still trying her best. And again, I am going to stand up for her and say she was assaulted by this man, which ended up in a pregnancy. So her turning to drugs is not uncommon.
Viewers to understand, why you're seeking, so much justice for Corey. Tell us about April 2nd, if you can.
Okay, so April 2nd, I dropped Corey off at Chris's at 9 a.m. It was as normal as it could be, knowing everything we were going through, the abuse and everything. But unfortunately, I had to go. So I dropped him off at 9 a.m. And then around 3:30, Chris called me and he told me that Corey was sick. He was tired, throwing up, and it didn't make sense because when I dropped him off, he was fine. I mean, he was talking, he was walking, he was breathing, everything was fine. And then he told me that he needed Corey's insurance card, and I had to send it to him, and then hung up on me. And then after that, I texted him a few times. I called him and I said, "What hospital is he at? Because I'm going to come meet you there." No answer, nothing at all. And you can't just tell someone that their kid is sick. You're taking them to the hospital and not tell them what hospital you're at or anything. So then, you know, me and my mom called the police. And we explained to them what was going on, that he just called and said he was sick, and now I don't know where he is. He won't answer. So they reached out to him. They called him and went to his apartment. He wasn't home. He didn't answer the phone. So this went on for like about an hour.
Okay.
And then we're panicking. Just can't do much besides call hospitals. And of course, the only hospital we didn't call was the one he was at. So.
Right. Okay.
And around 5:30, we got a knock on the door, and it was to notify us that Corey passed.
Now, she's saying we because her mom's right there supporting her. I do believe she did the best that she could with what she had at the time. She was very young when she got pregnant and assaulted, and nobody could say that they're perfect or that they would have done any better. All I do know is that judge should be held accountable for seeing that video of the treadmill and seeing little Corey getting his head bit while running on a treadmill and falling down, and then still giving him back to the dad. And some of you say I would never have done that. Giselle, I agree with you in some aspects, and other aspects I'm not really sure, because if you go to jail, then you don't have them anyway. So it's a fine line, but we all have different opinions on what we do.
Passed away, and I didn't believe it. It took a long time for them to convince me that it was even him.
Right. Like this can't be real.
Yeah.
It's like an out of
because
body.
he was fine. He was just fine. And I had no idea, but my first thought in my head was, holy shit, he killed him. That was I was like, he really did it. I can't believe he did it. So,
right. Were you telling them, where's dad? When did you learn he left the hospital?
That was my first thing. I was like, where's his dad? What's going on? And they actually told me that, well, we're here because we're scared he's going to come here. And I was like, why?
Well, he passed. The dad dropped him off at the hospital, and then dad started to run. We're going to show the body cam footage where they catch him and he tries to blame Brie. I have better footage. Thank you, Brie, our mod Brie, for sending over another clip. So dad is on trial right now as we speak. It continues tomorrow.
And I thought they meant he was going to come here and like talk to me and tell me what the hell happened to Corey. But then they're like, we're afraid for your safety. And I was like, okay. And then, we sat around freaking out. And then they told us that he's nowhere to be found, and they're pinging his phone. They're trying to find him. He left the hospital. And we later found out that he actually left Corey at the hospital as he was dying and went to Tennessee.
Yes. Yeah,
again,
hard.
I know I speak for all my people, our condolences. And I know this is tough for you, and I'm very sorry to hear this. And soon, again, my condolences. This is tough. This is tough for everybody. This is tough to hear about a man leaving his son in the house.
Yeah, and he looks like it skips a little bit. He looks like he wants to cry. This man, Tales from the Pen, has a big heart, and if you watch his channel, he's got a lot of good content on there. And Jamie, yeah, you can go back and watch things. I think Zab may be covering this on her channel. I'm not sure, but I know you're from Zab's channel. And I was asking if you're a moderator. Let me know in chat. But yeah, take a look on the backstory and enjoy with us today. And we'll let you know, hopefully this week court finishes and we'll get a verdict soon.
Hospital, especially as a parent. You know what I mean? Especially as a parent. I know I speak for all the parents, not even just the parents, people around the world. Forget being a parent. That something's not right here. Something is wrong, right? So once he went to Tennessee, what did he do? Did he get an attorney? What did he do?
So I didn't find this out until later, but I found out that he retained an attorney And it wasn't just any attorney. It was an actual high-profile murder attorney. Okay.
Yeah, celebrity attorney.
Yeah.
Seen it.
So
Yeah.
he actually has a show on. I don't know. He did a reality show or something. But
yeah.
So he retains him.
So now you hear that Christopher Gregor and his spoiled brat money from his parents got him a really good lawyer, folks. I knew that by the way they dressed before I even look them up. You can see his lawyers and how they dress with the suits, the expensive suits, and you could just tell his parents always have bailed him out, and they're trying to do it now.
April 3rd.
So let me ask you one more question. So since the phone call on April 2nd at 3:30 when he called you, have you heard from him? You know, anything? Have you heard anything from him? That was the last conversation. Not a text, not a nothing, not.
I haven't seen him. Nothing.
Right.
I
so
got a text
I know
from him.
you did.
I did that night. When I sent him a text and said, "Why did you have to do that to Corey? You could have just given him back to us, and you could have been free." And he said that he was going to file a lawsuit against all of us that were bashing him on Facebook. That was all he had to say.
Wow.
And that's actually how we found him in Tennessee, I think, because he turned his phone on and they pinged it because it was off for a long time. So
wow.
I'm happy he sent that text.
There you go, folks. This is the complete backstory. If you've been watching the trial and you haven't seen this interview, I hope it's tying everything together for you. And I will answer your question about the civil suit as soon as I'm done with this.
No, again, I'm not judge, I'm not jury, I'm not any of that, but I'm a man with common sense, and I'm a man, as you know, and I'm a father. So knowing that, just that part alone, I know, you know, people sometimes tend to, well, maybe this happened, maybe just that point alone. Because if I'm not mistaken, right, Brie, fill me in, about the next day, wasn't it April 3rd that he was supposed to, weren't you guys supposed to have a meeting or something the next day?
April 2nd, the day he passed away.
Okay.
We were supposed to take him to a child abuse exam with like, I guess it was an expert that CPS said we, you know, had to take him to, and he was supposed to take him and I was supposed to meet him there, and he didn't take him.
So that's okay. So basically what he did was he dropped his son. He knew he was already going to be in trouble. Oh, they're thinking, and he ran off and thought about himself, basically.
Yeah, he avoided police contact as much as possible. Instead of calling 911, he drove Corey to the hospital, wasted 10 minutes of them possibly saving his life just to avoid police contact. As soon as he realized this was bad, he left Corey at the hospital and then went to Tennessee. I mean, there's no one in Tennessee that I know of that he knows, so I think he just went as far as possible so he could get that attorney, and then he was coming back. You know, and at this point, no one was even talking about murder. The cops weren't even talking.
Yeah, it took months, folks. You those of you've been watching it, he got away with it for months until they arrested him. They thought it was sepsis, I think, and they had to go. I don't think they're trying to use that as a defense, but yeah, it was months before, and now he's been in there for years. Brie has a GoFundMe. They're going to put that on the channel, so I'll reach out to him and see if we can get her on and blast her GoFundMe to help support her. And then we can talk to her and give her support, emotional support, and you guys can befriend her if you want to.
Talking about murder. They just wanted to ask him about what had happened, and he would not answer any questions, and he still hasn't.
Right. Well, one other question. Do you have has anybody from the other side other than him, like somebody else from his family, reached out to you guys? Has anybody?
No.
Anybody else other than him? You understand? We already got that established. Like family members, grandparents, and aunts, and nobody's reached out to you guys at all.
No, nothing. Not to say sorry.
Not right. This is crazy. Okay, so now the moral of the story is, so far, this man has not been charged with anything but child abuse from the video that they seen him, you know, abusing your son in the fitness place, right? That's the only thing he's been charged with. So he hasn't been charged with anything else.
My bad.
No.
Okay, now let's get to the medical examiner. I know the medical examiner has a lot to do with this, and that's, you know, I explained that to you earlier when we were talking.
Absolutely.
The medical examiner has to rule it a certain way. So how did the medical examiner rule this so far?
So as of right now, his manner of death, which there's 5 possible manners. One is homicide, one's suicide, one's accidental, one's natural causes, and one's undetermined. And right now it's at undetermined, and his cause of death is a heart contusion, cardiac contusion.
Okay, so definitely, basically bruised on the heart. Basically.
Yeah.
Right.
And
okay.
if you look into it and you research it a little bit, it's not something that happens naturally. And you know, I've searched ways it could happen to somebody, and the most common ways are car accident.
So she's looking up, she's doing her work behind the scenes. She cares and she loves her son and she loved her son. I'm glad you're saying this more because I wanted to address it, but I don't want to keep interrupting the interview, but it's my show. So it doesn't matter about the judge. It's the jury that matters. Absolutely right. Judge doesn't matter. The only people that matter are the jury. And I think they're going to see right through it. I also think Christopher Gregor will more than likely take the stand because he can't stand not being able to tell his side of the lies. And when he does, the jury's going to see right through him, folks. So I think that he's going to get a guilty verdict. We're all hoping and praying for that.
A fall from a 2-story building or a blunt force trauma.
So basically, you're basically, maximum pressure, like you said, to falling that. So something major happened. Basically, the thing is that we understand that something happened, but all we want to know is what, right? That's what we want from the dad. We just want to know what happened. We just want to know, why did you run? We just want to know, why would you drop your son who's obviously in desperate need of medical attention? Why would you drop him off and leave? Why would you do that? Right? And these are just questions that the world wants to know.
When I met with a detective, because I've had meetings with them a few times, and I said that to him, I was like, I just want to know why he did this, why he did that. And he was like, we would like to know too. And I was like, it's crazy how he can just sit there silent. I know there's a Fifth Amendment and everything, but there's a little boy that's not here anymore. No one has to answer for that.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
I don't care who your lawyer is. He needs to have to be questioned, even if he has,
Right.
And he is.
And let me ask you, do you feel that his affiliation or who his, one of his parents are, as a retired detective?
Absolutely. It's been like this the whole time.
So, right.
There you go,
a lot of my subscribers might not have understood that part, that this guy's dad is a retired detective, correct?
There you go. Christopher Gregor's dad is a retired detective. That puts all rumors to bed, folks. Now we know. A lot of people were saying that. They were asking that. Now we know. We're learning a lot from this interview. And this is fantastic. Tales from the Pen. I'm going to hit you up after this show again.
He's a retired New Jersey State cop, trooper.
Trooper. Oof. Okay. There you go. Right. So
and they
so
have
many layers to this.
Yeah, they have a lot of money and
other family members in law enforcement.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it's just, I understand it, but it's crazy because I did see a lot of hate for the grandparents, and I get that, right? And I understand that, but as I was explaining the other day, they did what he was supposed to do, is what I'm trying to, they automatically, their first reaction was to protect their son, right? However people want to look at it, he didn't have that same gene in him, obviously. You understand? So, they did what, oh man, and sometimes people, sometimes you got to look at it and say, forget what the law says or what the judge says, but sometimes the court of public opinion is not the actual courtroom, so the prosecutors are going to have to get that from the medical examiner, who has to rule some type of something here, and then the prosecution can put their case together. Because the cops, to be honest with you, they probably all want to get him, because morally, who really is going to stand behind him other than flesh and blood, right? Like, let's just, you understand? So
no
one's
absolutely.
No one's going to really stand behind him unless it's flesh and blood. And the other guys, believe me, the prosecution is on it. They know what's going on, and I believe that eventually we're going to get justice for Corey. We're not going to give up. We're not giving up. We are going to get justice for Corey.
Yeah, they can't leave his manner of death undetermined. I mean, he's a child. You can't just be like, oh well, we don't know what happened. Oh well. I mean, especially under the circumstances, there's no way.
That's the thing that's annoying to me. We just want to know what happened, and that to me is guilty. Like I say again, but I'm the court of public opinion. I'm just I'm nobody. But again, it's a big difference to actually prove a case, in the court of law. That's why the prosecution is tight, because everybody's being quiet, no one's saying anything. But there's gonna have to be something's gonna have to happen, and I don't want this guy to think that he's just gonna walk around and just be fine with his life.
And he was just fine with his life for a couple of months until we see the body cam next. And then he still tries to blame the mom. Thanks, Brie, for coming in. Appreciate you. I appreciate the article you sent to me. I wouldn't want to do this without you here. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. And anybody that's asking, all of that stuff works, but check in chat, Wendy Slides, email me. I think you might be typing it wrong. I appreciate everything counts. We had a storm here in California. My roof fell in, and then there's asbestos. So half of my house is unusable, and there's asbestos. So I don't want to get into that now. It's not about me, but I don't want to explain it over and over. So we'll save it for another day. Thank you all for being here, supporting the channel, and let's keep listening and support Corey. That's what they were doing here in this video, because Christopher Gregor had not been arrested and they thought he was going to walk, and it wasn't determined a homicide at first. All right.
I don't want this guy walking around thinking that he could just move on with his life while, while he left all this carnage behind. It doesn't work like that. So we are definitely going to get some justice for Corey. That's just how it goes. So tell us about his court dates, anything you got coming up, any protests, anything like that. Let the people know.
So we have a rally on August 28th. That's in front of the Barnegat Police Department. And that's at what time? I think it's 11 a.m. Okay. And then we have, I think the next court hearing is September 15th. And right now I'm trying to find out from the prosecutor's office if that's going to be in person or it's going to be virtual. But I did get told that as a victim, I'm allowed to attend. So if it's in person, I'm kind of nervous because I haven't seen him at all. And so
I don't know how you would react. I know, I get it.
Right.
I mean, but knowing that, then you might have to just, do some breathing exercises or something like that, but I get it. Listen, I can't tell you what.
Some people are split about that, how people act, and they say, oh, I wouldn't be able to be in front of them without hitting them. But it takes a bigger person to be able to be in front of somebody and act like an adult. You don't want to stoop to their level. And like Madeline Soto, Tyler Wallace, and Tatiana, they were okay with Jennifer Soto. And if she would have wanted to go to the funeral or to the vigil or stop by the memorial, but she didn't. And they were being bigger people. That's why Tyler's not bashing her everywhere. So Brie's being a bigger person by saying this and trying to do this. I don't care what problem with drugs she had in the past. That is no excuse for what happened to Corey.
What to do when you see him. Believe me, I'm the last one.
I can't tell myself either. I mean, it's going to be like whatever. I mean.
Right. Okay. So another thing I want to speak about is what's going on with his
that happened
with his gravesite. Can you elaborate a little bit about what happened recently at his gravesite?
Okay, so we, since he was buried there, we've left pictures, toys, just everything, anything he liked, we like to leave there. So a couple days ago, like was it last week maybe, or over the weekend?
I think it was Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. We went to visit him. We go every day, so we know if something's misplaced, even if it's moved an inch. I know, I'm there so often. So we went there, and there were 3 pictures missing. 2 of them were of me and Corey, and then 1 was just Corey. And then there were 3 books that were there that other people brought for Corey, and there were some toy cars, and there was just like a ceramic painted like turtle or something, just things people left for him. It wasn't just us leaving; it was other people, and it was all missing. And
they left the turtle there, Carly. Did you hear that? We don't want to leave turtles at the site, especially ones that can, like wither away or blow. So that's why the Madeline Soto case in the memorial, they're trying to switch it over to locks. So with this, man, this poor woman is going there and things are missing. That is the saddest thing ever. But don't forget, I always have to bring up Madeline Soto and bring her story to light. At her memorial, they're now transitioning to locks. So if you need the email for the person running it, Jenny said it'd be okay. Let me know and I'll drop Jenny's email in the chat. You guys can email her directly to send non-perishable things to the site. And JPL just coming in, one of the saddest cases. We're not going to show the case. We're not going to show the treadmill thing again today, so don't worry.
Before we freaked out, we wanted to, reach out to whoever runs the cemetery, and a friend of mine that knows him reached out and he said no one touched anything. No one from here did it. So I don't know anyone else that would do that except the person that abused and murdered him.
Okay, right.
Who else would do that?
Okay, right. Yeah, so we got to get some type of security around the gravesite or something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the description at the end of the video, people. I'm letting all my audience know. At the end of this video, you're going to see the link in the description for the GoFundMe page and everything like that, so we can all help this family. I just want to let you guys know again. I know this is tough. I know this is hard, and I appreciate you guys coming up. And we're going to periodically check in with you. you know, and I know the fans and the people and the subscribers.
Again, it's been 2 years since this happened, and we want to get her now that the trial's going to be over. And I'll show you the civil suit right after this so you can see what's happening. I want to get an interview with her, and we will blast her GoFundMe and whatever help she needs as well all over social media.
They're going to want to hear from you some more. And hopefully the next time we hear from you, we'll have much better news. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, definitely.
Brie, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your courage for even speaking upon it, right? It's because, believe me, it takes a strong woman to do what you're doing. And you're a lot stronger than I am, right? You're a strong, beautiful woman. And we all wish you well. And again, we're going to be here for you. I'm going to find out about the protest, the court dates. We already spoke about that. I'm probably going to pop up and, we'll go live. So hopefully next time, people, we'll have some better news. Again, Brie, I'm seeing everybody in my comments. I don't know if you can see the comments, but everybody is showing you guys. Everybody's showing you guys so much love, and I appreciate you guys coming. And I'm looking forward to part 2 with better news.
All right.
I did not see a part 2, but I'm assuming that the part 2 is for the aftermath of this. So let's get her on a part 1. And maybe we can all collaborate. Again, I'm going to reach out to Tales from the Pen. He was pretty easy for me to get a hold of. I've talked to him once, so let's try it again. Let's listen to this and see the GoFundMe, and then we'll get into the civil suit.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky. All right, guys.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye. There it is, people. We got to get justice for Corey. We have to. You guys heard the story right there. Too much fishiness going on. We want answers. It amazes me how people, and I know the system well. I know. Believe me, I did it. I understand. Hiding behind attorneys. I understand that. I hid behind attorneys for stuff that I did. Okay. Almost every time I was arrested, I did it. So the only time I ever hid behind.
All right. So we appreciate you. Tales from the Pen. I'm not really sure what your name is. I'll figure that out. I have talked to him, but I haven't dug that deep. I just wanted to collaborate and do a reaction and show you all this video. So I'm gonna. Yes, what is up, Sugar Slider? I was on Sugar Slider's husband's channel last night, and we had a nice calm talk about CSAM. We'll say, let me share mom denied custody and what happens next with this. And then we'll get into the next part. Thank you, Sugar Slider, for becoming a member. And Rebecca, Bobby gifted a membership, folks. You might get a membership today for the people that need them. All right, so let's take a look at this, and then we'll get into the body cam footage after that. All right. Take a look at this, folks. Mom was denied custody the day before her son's fatal abuse. Beating, she sues agency after reporting abuse for 20 months before. All right, look at those beautiful pictures, folks, of them. We've seen those so many times. Oh, such a beautiful little boy. Okay, so Brie Micciolo says in her civil suit that her son Corey might, let me lower this a little, might still be alive had the agency and its caseworkers adequately, properly, and fully investigate the reports of abuse she made concerning her son and his father, Christopher Gregor. The mother of New Jersey boy allegedly took his son's life away by his father has filed a wrongful death suit against the state of New Jersey and Child Protective CP or DCPP. Brie Micciolo says in her civil suit that her son Corey might still be alive and the agency and its caseworkers adequately, properly, and fully. Okay, so we just read that. She accuses them of negligent, reckless, and demonstrated palpably unreasonable conduct in the suit and is seeking both wrongful death and survivor damages, having filed the suit on behalf of the state of Corey Micciolo. All right, so we're not going to Inside Edition digital copy. I don't really want to get copywritten right now, so you guys can take a look at that. I'll put the link in chat right now, and we'll pull this down. Stop sharing. All right, I put that. If you guys want to take a look, we'll cover that later on. Right now, we want to get her on the channel, but I'm also going to play the body cam footage that I have. That's better footage than I had. So I have 2 little clips here. Well, there was one I can't find right this second, but there's one good one, and then one that's like a minute. One that's 6 minutes and one's a minute. 1 sec. This comes from News Nation. It's much better. All right, let's go.
I knew when he got home, he was tweaking. And I knew something was wrong in my gut, but I just thought she had all waiting from everything that he needs. And I should have took him right from the beginning. There's a lot of me things like, it's partially my fault in the sense that if they truly did something, it would, but if you had a shoot right from the drug addict mother, like he'd still be alive if I never came back from Baltimore to fight with us. And that's been going through my head this whole drive. She's a special kind of dirtbag.
So why isn't the jury being allowed to see this video? We can see it. Why aren't they letting the jury? I want to bring in former prosecutor Matt Murphy, criminal trial attorney and News Nation legal analyst Sarah Azari. Matt and Sarah, it's always nice to see you. Matt, I want to start with you. First of all, what do you make of the body cam video, and why do you think this decision was made for them not to be allowed to show it to the jury? Because apparently they can talk about it, but they just can't actually show the jury this video.
Well, this is something you see a lot, Brian, when you have body cam or other video or audio evidence that captures a whole bunch of other stuff. What you have is you have a lot of communications between the police officers that are on that audio that really, it's essentially hearsay. They're having a whole conversation about some of the investigation, and that type of stuff is an out-of-court statement that would be very confusing for the jury. Plus, you know what? I think that this is one of those things that I don't really think they need it. I think the judge on this, remember, the court's job is to make sure that nothing happens that, if there is a conviction, results in an appeal. So,
right. And what I'm going to do after this is play it again. It's only like a minute, so you can actually read it. It's hard to tell what it says, but he's blaming the mother. So, yeah. All right. So let's hide this. I'll play it again after we finish this clip. True Crime Investigates goes on at 9 p.m., 6 p.m. Everybody's doing great. I don't know if you're into it, Greeno, but there's a lot of content creators that need intros and outros. So if you're into that, let me know and I'll send them your email. I've got a handful of people that want those, and I know you're a content creator and you create good stuff. So just let me know. All right, let's go. Let's finish this up.
Prosecution, in my view, doesn't need this. I watched the testimony of Dr. Feingold. I'm sure Sarah did too. I thought she was really good. The defense has teed up Michael Biden, who's very famous. Oftentimes, and I know Sarah's done a bunch of these as well, when you're talking about homicides involving child abuse, they often boil down to a battle of the experts. And his video, this thing is, it's offensive because he blames the mom. He's presumed innocent here. We all got to remember that. But I don't think they need it. And I would caution them, if I was on this team, to kind of focus on the nitty gritty, the injuries to this kid, the multiple calls of abuse.
All right. I hope Corey's grandmother is still in chat. I'm sorry I missed that. Hey, what's up, Dawn Marie? If I don't know Corey's grandma's name, but if you're still in chat, I want you to know that we want to talk to Brie and we want to support her. And if you can have her reach out to us or give me some information, it says Corey's grandmother's in chat, which I assume that you're Brie, Anna Micciolo's mother. We'd like to support her on the channel, help spread her GoFundMe, and I'd love to talk to her behind the scenes. So anyhow, if you're still here, please let's make that happen. All right, let's go.
Beforehand. And I would, there's a lot of emphasis placed, like when he left, he walked out of the emergency room. People behave and react to death differently. You look at those photos right there on the screen, that's a bite mark on his forehead. And if Sarah, that is called petechial hemorrhaging in his eye. That's caused from.
Yeah, and I hate to leave such a graphic photo, but that's what this is, and we want justice for Corey, and we want to support Brie. So Rebecca Micciolo says he blames Brianna, but he left his grandson dying in the hospital and ran to Tennessee. And that's what we're saying. We're on the same team here. I'm going to play the body cam footage one more time where he's blaming Brie when he gets caught. We absolutely know the truth here. We cut through the BS on this channel, and we know what's real. So, Rebecca, thank you for reaching out. If you could tell your daughter we'd like to support her on Guilty of Crime and spread her GoFundMe and talk to her, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. We just want to support you, Corey, and your daughter, any of your family. Please feel free. Be welcome to be here. Brianna said talking to me until trial ends. Absolutely. And that's what I get until the trial ends. That's what I meant to say. But hopefully we can talk to her and help support her and get the word out.
You see that often in strangulation cases. Unless there's another sibling, that's caused by abuse. Those are the classic signs. CPS absolutely blew it, in my opinion. I think the judge put way too much faith in their recommendation. I mean, this hearing happened the day before his death. And then on this, we've got this video. You see the father bite him in the head on video. So you don't see cases like this with this much evidence very often. And this will be interesting to see what the defense does.
It's so infuriating when you see the video and when you see those photos and you know that this little boy was failed.
I'm going to pass it up. We don't need to watch this. All right. Especially with
trial.
Grandma.
If you were his...
Yeah, I didn't want to watch this again. I don't want Grandma to have to watch this at all. There's no reason. We know what happened. The GoFundMe was from 3 years ago and was used to cover funeral by Brianna burial plot. Thank you for explaining that. Well, now she's going through a civil suit and she's got a big grief and loss. So if she has another GoFundMe or needs support in anything, we'd like to know. Yeah, I saw the interview and that was from a couple years back. But anything that she needs, even support, there's a lot of people that support in emotional ways. There's people on here that are psychologists. They offer their services. So anything we could do, let us know. My email's below.
Lawyer, would you want him to go on the stand?
Yeah, Brian, first of all, just one point. CPS is a joke. I mean, I'm dealing with a very similar situation. The child is luckily alive right now, but a very abusive mother, and CPS gets it wrong. Dependency courts get it wrong. And so it's unfortunate to see that they were really complicit in whatever happened to this child. Whether he'll take the stand, I think he should take the stand. I think I consider myself a little more fearless when it comes to advising a client to take the stand, but really it boils down to, of course, it's their choice, whether we need to humanize them and whether they need to explain things. He needs both. He's been painted as an abusive monster father, and he needs to try to at least attempt to show a different side of himself to this jury. He also needs a lot of explaining. I mean, you know, the driving is like, I agree with Matt. It's a wash. It's a nothing burger. But to me, leaving your lifeless child at the hospital, I don't care if that condition is reversible. It looks really bad. Ultimately, there's some parents on this jury. You don't just drop the kid off and walk away nonchalantly. You know, the online searches.
And I'm glad that this happened. This got brought to light. Not that this happened, but it's brought to light and he didn't walk free because he almost did. And right, absolutely, CPS is a joke. CPS is an absolute joke. All they want to do is get you off their back and send the kid back with the parent that's been abusing them. I agree with that. That was a bold statement for this lady to say, and blackity black. I'm just gonna go black. Oh, Black Betty. He's guilty. Absolutely, allegedly, until proven so. But hopefully by next week we'll wrap the case up.
Are bad, because to me, online searches are about what and when. The what and when here in these searches are terrible. So he needs to explain. Maybe he's going to say, I've been framed by this drug addicted mother so many times. She's called CPS so many times to try to frame me. And I was concerned that I'm going to be a suspect in a murder case. So he needs to explain that. Maybe he also needs to explain the soiled clothing, although I think any home with a child, it's expected, especially if the defense is going to come and say that he was sick, that it wasn't blunt force trauma, that it was some infection or pneumonia. Okay, it's expected that there might be soiled clothing.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.
All right, yeah, check out News Nation. We love them. They report on a lot of things that we bring over to our channel. Big heart. Thank you, Princess Mitch, for the super chat, for the big heart, and for you, Grandma Rebecca Micciolo. Everybody's throwing hearts for you. Look at that. So much love for you and Corey and Brianna. Justice for Corey. Justice for Corey. Sugar slider, all blue hearts. So that was Corey's favorite color. And yeah, I want to thank everybody that's supporting, and knowing that Grandma Rebecca's in chat. We appreciate the respect that you all are giving to her as well as her daughter. We don't tolerate anything but respect. So yes, blue hearts. Thank you for being here, Rebecca, and the blue hearts. We love them too. And I hope that you feel some semblance of justice, although it's never going to bring back that beautiful little boy, man. Oh, all right. So I have just real quick that 1:07 footage, and then we'll get to the next thing. I actually want to show Brie testifying. I think that's the next thing that's coming up. I want to show you what difference she is and how much of a woman she is and became from and grew from those years.
She's a special kind of dirtbag. I mean, you know, living in yeah, hard to set up. So your car that you leased, yes.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Don't trigger warning to this. He is blaming this all on Brianna, and we know that's not true. Absolutely, but you hear what he's saying. It's only 1:07, so let me just so you can hear it or read it.
She's a special kind of dirtbag. I mean, you know, living in yeah, hard to set up. So your car that you leased, yes. From Maryland, she lived in New Jersey. When I was in Maryland teaching, I got my master's degree from Johns Hopkins in special education mathematics. To say the least. It's mainly for like medical. She's a special kind of dirtbag.
I don't know why they play again.
Yeah, hard to set up. So your car that you leased, yes. From Maryland, she lived in New Jersey. When I was in Maryland teaching, I got my master's degree from Johns Hopkins in special education.
All right. All right, folks, we don't need to see him anymore. I just wanted to. And Rebecca, thank you for being here. I'm glad you're looking around and checking out the channels and seeing the coverage. Rebecca says, I'm so happy. Rebecca Micciolo, this is Brie, Anna's mom. I'm so happy you're covering this. Corey needs to be heard. It absolutely needs to be heard. It needs to be heard and told again and again, because this is outrageous. And there's so many people. Yeah, he had such a sweet little face. So many people that just are outraged by this case. Corey's case will be heard. Thank you for saying that. Was Kim Princess. All right. So let's go to the next thing that I wanted to show you, because I want you to see what a stand-up person that Brianna Micciolo has become. There's so much hurt, but she's still fighting through it. And that's what a woman does. That's what a mother does. That's what a good parent does. And we're allowed to make mistakes. All right, I'm going to put this up and we're going to watch it for a while in chat. Show Rebecca some love. All right, let's watch her. We're not going to play the full 2 hours, but I want you to see what they're saying. I want you to see his face. I also want Deception Detective to cover this.
A father named Christopher Gregor.
I want Deception Detective to cover this, and he wants to know which clips we want him to cover. So as we're looking at this, I want you to see his face so he can cover one of these. Yes, we do. Absolutely. All right. Chris's parents said Corey should have been aborted. They did. I did say that, Rebecca. Rebecca, Brie's mom, says Chris's parents. So it wasn't just Chris. It was Chris's parents, folks. Chris's freaking parents, the one that got out of testifying, the mom and the spoiled, making him a spoiled brat, didn't want Corey. They said he should have been aborted. You see that? Those people are evil people in disguise, folks. They're walking around with a little bit of money and they think they're better than everybody else. Absolutely insane.
And he claims that his son Corey died of natural causes, but the prosecutors say no, he abused the child to death. Now, the defendant, the father, facing life in prison if he's found guilty of first-degree murder. Let's get you back inside the courtroom. Opening statements are done. We're about to hear from the state's very first witness. This is Corey's mom, Brianna Micciolo.
Take the court reporter, she'll swear you.
You solemnly swear.
All right, so take a look at his face. You can see the hate and disdain that he has for her, but what a beautiful woman. She's doing everything she can to stand up for her son, and you can see how much growth that she's had from 2 years ago until now and how she's getting through this. Unbelievable. And thank you, mom, grandma, Rebecca, for being there for her. I wish we would have saw you more in the interview, but I get it. People don't always want to be on camera.
Swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth.
Yes.
Would you have a seat, please? State your full name for the record and spell both of your names.
It's Brianna Micciolo, Breanna Micciolo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter.
Brianna, just before we start, I just want to remind you that you're going to have to keep your voice up, okay? The jury's going to have to hear you. So, Brianna, how old are you?
I'm 27.
And what is your birth date?
November 7th, 1996.
And where do you live?
East Brunswick.
And whom do you live with?
My boyfriend and daughter.
And do you work?
Yes.
And what is your occupation?
Take a look at his face. Thank you, Rebecca, for being in chat. See, this all proves that what I've been saying. Chris knew about the pregnancy after that he assaulted her, his essay. So he essayed her and then he knew about the pregnancy because he wanted her to abort little Corey. This guy's a monster, and so is his parents. I wish they could be found culpable for something. Not even close, but you know what? Karma doesn't let you get away with things.
Data entry.
Who is Corey Micciolo?
My son.
And when did you give birth to Corey?
May 1st, 2014.
And how old were you when you gave birth to Corey?
17.
And what grade were you in when you gave birth to Corey?
11th grade.
And who is Corey's biological father?
The defendant.
Yeah, take this microphone, just slide it right in front of you, okay?
Okay.
Right in the middle there, towards the. Let me turn it over to you. I want you to pretend that you're basically speaking all the way to the end of the jury box, all right? All the jurors need to hear you and see you. If they can't hear you down there, it's like you're not testifying, okay? So I know it may be difficult, but please try and keep your voice up.
So who is Corey's biological father?
The defendant.
And what's his name?
Christopher Gregor.
And how old were you when you first met Christopher Gregor?
16.
And do you know what the defendant's birth date is?
It's May 1992.
Now, you're familiar with Christopher Gregor, correct?
Yes.
And you've known him for many years, right?
Yes.
And you see him located in the courtroom today?
I do.
And can you please point to him and tell us where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's sitting over there wearing a suit.
Identifying Mr. Gregor, Your Honor. So noted, thank you.
Now, is your son Corey no longer with us?
No. Well, yes.
And can you tell the jury the day he passed?
April 2nd, 2021.
And how old was Corey when he passed?
He was 6.
And what types of things did your son Corey like to do as a 6-year-old?
He liked reading, coloring, painting, playing outside.
And what type of demeanor did Corey have as a 6-year-old?
He was happy, silly, loving.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. I'm now showing you what's been marked.
You guys want to take a guess if you think that he's going to testify? What do you think, everybody? If you think he's going to testify, just throw a 1 up in chat. If you don't think he's going to testify, put a 2 as we listen to this. Again, you guys can go watch this by yourself, but I want to watch some of it. I want Deception Detective to take a look at this footage because it's really good. It shows his face as she's talking about emotional topics and nothing. This man does not care. All right, I see a lot of 1s there. Thank you.
1 for identification purposes, and do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, and is that a picture?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what that's a picture of?
Oh, that's a picture of Corey.
And did you take that picture?
Yes.
So you're familiar with
Yes.
your son Corey, who's depicted in the picture?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to publish S1?
Any objections? None. Are you ready to evidence?
You can move it into evidence, yes. Move into evidence and publish.
No objections to evidence? No, Your Honor. S1 evidence.
So sad. She's sitting there crying and he looks like he's bored. Right, I'm gonna go a little bit further so we can kind of just hear some things going on. Again, it's 2 hours, so we're not gonna watch 2 hours, but you can go watch that. I just want you to see the context and how brave Brie's being.
I use the drugs to like suppress.
Okay, here we go. Here's a
Micciolo shall have Skype calls or FaceTime calls with Corey on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays and Sundays during the weekends when Corey is with Christopher. Similarly, on the weekends that Corey is with Brianna, Christopher shall have Skype or FaceTime with Corey on Saturdays and Sundays. Neither party shall record these calls.
Okay. And the caption of this order is, who is a plaintiff in the matter?
My mom.
Okay, and who is listed as the defendants in the order?
Myself and Christopher.
Sorry, this is where she talks about her drug usage, and I believe that directly correlates. Statistically, it correlates when you have any kind of essay. It correlates with wanting to use drugs and cover it up. Giselle, Corey was 6 when he passed. He'd be 10 now. So, yeah, thank you for asking.
Now, Nana, have you struggled with substance abuse?
Yes.
And have you specifically struggled with drugs?
Yes.
And can you please tell the jurors about this?
Yes. In my early 20s, I struggled with drug abuse. When I was younger, I went through a lot, and I feel like I used the drugs to like suppress my emotions. I didn't really have the coping skills that I do now. And yeah, like I said, I was just going through a lot, but I've been clean currently for a long time.
And have you ever used drugs in front of your son, Corey?
No.
And can you tell us why you were granted custody of Corey in October of 2020?
I went through a drug program and I provided clean urines, and I just fought really hard because I hated living without my son.
Now, calling your attention to September of 2020, where was Corey living?
In Barnegat.
Okay, and who was Corey living with?
The defendant.
And where did the defendant reside?
In Barnegat.
Okay.
Atlantic Heights.
Okay, when you say the Atlantic Heights, can you tell the jurors what that is?
It's an apartment complex.
And did the defendant move from his parents' home in Monroe Township to the apartment in Barnegat?
Yes.
And who else lived in the apartment in Barnegat with Corey and the defendant?
Just them.
Now, Rihanna, in October of 2020, can you tell the jurors where you were living?
In Englishtown.
And what type of home did you live in Englishtown?
A townhome.
And who lived in the townhome in Englishtown?
Myself, my mother, my mother's boyfriend, and my sister.
And can you describe for the jurors what the townhome looked like in Englishtown?
It was 2 stories with a finished basement.
And where was your room located in the house?
In the basement.
And can you tell the jurors how come you were living in your mother's home in October of 2020?
I wasn't working at the time, so I couldn't afford it.
And about how far away is Englishtown?
She couldn't afford things, and she has a son by him who SA'd her, and then he doesn't want to give her money, but he wants to take custody and then abuse him. Really unbelievable. And they hired Dr. Bodden, which is like a well-known, he's a well-known, what is he, a medical examiner? Anyway, yeah, it's unbelievable what they're doing. I don't think the jury's going to see through it, folks. Poor Brie is doing such a good job. She absolutely is, everybody. And I want to give her a lot of credit for that. Didn't he? I don't know. And thanks, Jess, for being here today. I haven't seen you in a little while, but you missed a lot. All right, let's go a little bit forward and let's get into it. I also might, if they show the defense, the defense attorney, it's crazy how they treat her.
And did Corey have issues getting inside of the gym?
Yes.
And can you please explain what happened regarding Corey being able to enter the clubhouse gym on March 20th of 2021?
The door was locked. So I texted the defendant that he couldn't get in.
And then what happened after that?
He came and unlocked the door.
And what was the defendant's demeanor when he let Corey into the gym and then at that point in time?
He was very angry.
And at any point during this, did he come to your car?
Yes.
After you dropped Corey off on March 20th, 2021, when is the next time that you saw Corey?
I believe it was Tuesday.
Would that have been March 23rd,
yes.
2021? And on that particular day, did you drive to Barnegat?
Yes.
And did you drive there to visit Corey?
Yes.
And where did you visit with Corey that day?
The defendant's home.
And about what time do you think did you arrive at the defendant?
Now, she's going to talk about what happened. And if you've already seen her on the stand, thank you for being here with us. Hit that like button as you do. I want to hear this, and then I'll go forward to hear how the disgusting defense attorney treats her. Absolutely unbelievable. If it's in this clip, I'm not sure, but we need to do something about people like that. I can't believe what they get away with because they have money, and I wish we could. Yeah, of course, he's going to point the finger at her. Unbelievable. Absolutely not her fault whatsoever for what he did. Yeah, of course. He did a lot of other things besides that too, folks. Absolutely disgusting man. He's a sadist, I believe.
In his apartment to visit with Corey.
Maybe 4:30.
And that would have been your weekday visitation with Corey?
Yes.
So it would have been like after the school day?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
And where was the defendant when you visited Corey?
He was home.
And did you stay over at the apartment that night?
No.
All right, she's describing the defendant as angry when she dropped Corey off. She was late. She admits that he was very angry. It starts to paint the picture, I think the prosecution wants, that he's an abuser.
Yeah, and oftentimes we see this when a parent is mad at another parent, they take it out on the child.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, we're going to hit the pause button. You won't miss any of the mother.
And Rebecca, thank you for being here. I know that wasn't his only problem. Thank you for pointing that out. He was also an abuser, and I'm assuming you didn't like being around him very much. I don't think they were together at any point. Is that correct? Maybe you could correct me in chat. I know she was 16, then she got pregnant because he SA'd her. But if they were never together, right? That was just, can you tell me a little bit maybe? I'd love to hear from you as well. Absolutely love to hear from you. I know that Brie can't talk right now, but you're welcome. You're welcome to come on and talk with us anytime.
There's testimony as she describes what happens on these times she was visiting with her own son, Corey. Stay tuned.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, a closer look at...
No, we're not.
I just want to say one more thing.
About the case, I wouldn't expect him to get on the stand. That's just my thoughts.
And I just want to say one more thing, and that is it's a really great point of the strategy of a case that's not a decision that you can make before a trial starts. You have to assess it as you go.
Yeah, I think if you get to a point where you feel like a Hail Mary is the only chance you got, you might try it, but I agree with the team. I think right now what we know about him, his background, his anger issues, everything that went on.
Yeah, and we've dug deep into his background, folks. Rebecca says that they never dated. So this was just, he took what he wanted, and then he victimized her, and then he victimized his son. And I'm sorry, Rebecca. I mean, I'm trying to be, I want to get this case out there. I feel bad when I say things, but I'm trying to be as, get the case out, but be as not so harsh. Thank you for being here with us and giving us answers, filling in the blanks.
Putting him on the stand would be a mistake. Too much to come out there. All right, we're going to go back now for more. The direct examination of Corey's mom.
And while you were with Corey, did you see any bruises on him?
I did, yes.
And can you describe for the jurors the bruises that you saw?
He had a bruise on his forehead, and it was very odd shaped, and it kind of looked like an imprint of something.
And besides that bruise, did you see another bruise?
He had one on his chest. It looked like a scrape.
And where were you when you saw these bruises on Corey?
Corey and I went on a walk in the neighborhood.
And did you speak to Corey about the bruises that you saw?
Yes.
And where were you and Corey when you spoke?
We were on the walk.
And what was Corey's demeanor when you spoke to him about the bruises that you saw?
He just seemed upset and scared.
Now, calling your attention to March 26th of 2021, did you make a referral to DCP&P?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors who DCP&P is?
They are the Department of Children's Protection and Permanency.
Or people know them as DIFUS?
Yeah.
And how did you contact DCP&P?
Through the hotline.
And why did you make a referral to DCP&P at this time?
I felt like Corey's abuse was getting really bad, and I felt like they needed to do something about it.
Now, drawing your attention to Saturday, March 27th at 2021, did you see Corey that day?
I'm sorry, what day was it?
Saturday, March 27th of 2021. Did you see Corey that day?
Yes.
And where did you see Corey?
In Stafford or Barnegat.
And why were you at Stafford or Barnegat to see Corey?
He was having flag football tryouts.
And where did you go to see the flag football tryouts?
I think it was South Jersey, like Stafford or Barnegat.
And did you see the flag football tryouts?
Yes.
And who brought Corey to the tryout?
The defendant.
And how did you arrive to the field for the flag football tryouts?
I drove myself.
And why did you meet the defendant there that day?
He didn't want to drive with me because he didn't want to be seen with me. I'm too trashy.
He looks bored and disgusted. And did you hear what she said? He didn't want to be seen with her. She looks too trashy. Unbelievable. She has so much more class on so many levels, and she's beautiful and she's smart. And I've seen her be an advocate for her son for years back, and he didn't want to be seen with her. I hope that this guy rots and gets the maximum amount of time, folks.
And what type of contact was allowed for first grade flag football?
It's no contact.
What, if any, injuries did Corey sustain at the flag football tryout?
None.
After the flag football tryout, did you take Corey back to your house in Manalapan for visitation?
I did.
And where did you take Corey to?
My house.
And did you have a conversation with the defendant at the tryout about bringing Corey back to your home for visitation?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what the defendant said in regard to you bringing Corey back to your home?
He told me just to take him for the weekend.
And were you expecting that you were going to be able to take Corey home from tryouts?
No.
And that occurred during the tryout?
Yes.
Now, in regard to the court-ordered visitation schedule, did you and the defendant always follow what specifically said in the court order?
No.
And can you tell the jurors why not?
I'm not sure.
Well, what about, would there be circumstances which would...
Oh, yes. Christopher would let me take him to my house knowing the people that he didn't want to be there were there a few times.
Okay. When did you bring Corey back?
Man, she's so brave. I want to hear some more. Now, we've heard this over and over. I also have some footage of when he took him to the hospital, but I want to hear the defense and how they talk. The only leg that he has to stand on is the money he has. I hope Dr. Bodden gets a senile moment on the stand if he's for their side. Look at this guy in his suit with his defense attorneys. His defense attorney, by the way, is trash. So I don't know. He's actually making him look worse. I want to see if they bring him up. And let's see what he has to say, and then I'm kind of skipping around because I don't have that long to play this, and a lot of you have seen this. Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I need to give you that instruction now. I'm getting into a lot of statements allegedly made by Mr. Gregor. So some of these are written electronically, say by text message, and now we're...
All right, still with us to help break it down, trial attorney Lateef Gray. Lateef, here's what I always struggle with is at this moment in time, she's doing everything right. She took him to the pediatrician. They sent her to the community medical center. They saw a pediatric abuse specialist. He was then sent to Jersey Shore Medical Center. The mom did that. And yet here we are with a dead child.
Yeah, it's tragic.
It is tragic, and a lot of people say that he might testify. So, Kara, I don't know if he's going to, but he doesn't want to look bad, and he thinks that he's going to make himself look better, and he's going to come in and he's going to charm. If he could just charm one juror, I believe he has a good possibility of taking the stand. I'm not saying absolutely he's going to, but there's a good possibility, and it hasn't been ruled out yet.
It appears that somebody slipped up and didn't take care of their responsibilities, and it doesn't seem like it's the mother who was the one who slipped up. I mean, she made over 100 complaints about abuse, none of them substantiated, so somebody fell asleep at the wheel here, and unfortunately, the cute baby is no longer here because of it.
Well, Lateef, when we talk about evidence, somebody might have dropped the ball, but the fact is that suggests that maybe they couldn't prove that this abuse was going on, and I disagree that the mother did everything right.
I don't think that they didn't get a bunch of reports. I think they just didn't take them seriously, and the judge made a wrong call. Teresa, Dr. Bonner was hired by the defense. I believe so, if you guys could verify that. And yes, Brie is suing. Brianna is suing. I just saw in the document before that. I think you just came in a little late.
They told her, they gave her a choice. They said, look, we'll transport this kid. We think he's relatively serious. We want to go from community hospital to this larger hospital that can deal with more serious situations. She chose to drive him herself. Had he remained under doctor's care, been transported by doctors, by an ambulance, maybe this doesn't happen. So I'm wondering how that might play into the case.
Well, that's an interesting dynamic. I mean,
I already don't like what he just said. That's not what any of us would have done. We would want to rush them and have it under our control to do that. I don't believe so. I believe what happened was going to happen because of what Christopher Gregor did. Absolutely not what he's saying. I disagree with him.
Whether or not she should have let the hospital continue to maintain care of her child, that's a real interesting issue. But the fact still remains that she did take him to the hospital. She did do the follow-up that they suggested. So she did what she could to ensure that her son was not being abused, and that if he was being abused, that it was being taken care of. So it's a double-edged sword, but it appears that she did what she could do.
And, I always have to say it could have been a financial issue. It's a lot to have a child transported when you can do it yourself and save that money or not be able to pay a bill. I'm not saying that's the reason, but I don't know. There's just a lot of factors. Yeah, it is. It is. Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Lateef Gray, of course, for joining us this hour.
All right, folks, coming up, we're going to have a lot more. Actually, before we go to break, I do want to talk a little bit.
All right. Let's see if there's anything else. Otherwise, let's see if the defense talks.
Let's say around 1:30.
And
no, we're still. All right. I think I'm going to hop to
okay. And are you familiar with the area depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's the entrance to my house.
Okay, I'm now showing you what's been marked S21. Are you familiar with that photograph?
Yes.
And what is that a picture of?
It's a hallway to my bedroom.
Okay, so you're familiar with what's depicted in that photograph. I'm now going to show you what has been marked.
All right. This doesn't have a lot more, but I want to show you Christopher Gregor bringing Corey into the hospital and dropping him off. I always like having the footage, body cam footage. I really want you to see what is going on. I'm a visual person, and that's why I can't just make this a podcast. A lot of people say you should make a podcast, but that's great, and I agree I could do both, but I like being able to see these people. Otherwise, I'm on Googling them. All right, let's watch Christopher Gregor take him in to the ER.
Allegedly died due to injuries that happened as a result of chronic child abuse. Now, on Tuesday, prosecutors presented this surveillance video of a visibly emotional Christopher Gregor walking out of the emergency room while nurses were scrambling to keep his son, Corey Micciolo, alive. Nurse Lindsay Carnevale, who helped treat the 6-year-old, described that moment to the jury.
What did the defendant say about Corey's symptoms before he was brought into the emergency room?
That he had been vomiting and he was complaining of light and body pain.
Did the defendant leave room 6 of the emergency room?
He did.
And what was Corey's condition?
Corey was very sick. He mumbled a couple words to me.
So we're asking this morning, how will Gregor's ER actions affect this trial? Let's bring in our power panel now. Still with me, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor.
Yeah, I do want to hear that. This is going to help us decide in our minds I think the trial's going to wrap up this week, I hope. I don't think there's too much more evidence. So yeah, let's getting in preparation of the trial coming back on tomorrow. And, we could debate all day whether we think he's going to testify or not, but we're not going to make that decision. He's going to make the decision. And I could absolutely be wrong. I don't know this guy at all. I say there's a good chance he takes the stand, and it hasn't been ruled out. He hasn't decided.
Prosecutor Franz Borchardt, entertainment reporter Kinsey Schofield, and psychologist and parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Good morning to you all. Oh boy, this is just heartbreaking. Watching that video, it is sickening. Kinsey Schofield, may I start with
And we won't watch it again. I just want you to hear from the experts how they think the case is going, and then it will prepare you for tomorrow, folks, to fight for justice while you're watching. Say prayers. Let's support the family of Corey Micciolo.
with you. Would you kick off our conversation, please, with your thoughts and how that video might affect the trial?
Absolutely. I mean, just a few hours ago, I noticed on the Daily Mail that this story was trending with over 3,000.
It is, but it's interesting because a lot of people also aren't covering the case, and I'm glad we are. And it's important that I say Rebecca Micciolo, who's Brie's mom, says Dr. Bodden is testifying tomorrow, and then Chris will decide if he will testify. So there you go. We can put that to bed, folks. Let's hope that Dr. Bodden gets a senior moment. He is a rock star, but he's not anymore. He used to be a rock star medical examiner, but I haven't seen him in a long time. So let's hope the jury doesn't get swayed and get stars in their eyes. Let's get justice for Corey. Thank you for saying that, Rebecca, and clearing that up.
People reading it at the same time. People are affected by these visuals. They're affected by the idea of a child being left alone, scared, and overwhelmed in the circumstances that he was in. And people are very much glued to this story and want to see justice for Corey.
Most certainly they do. Franz Borchardt, let me go to you here. If you're on the defense side of this case, talk to me. How are you feeling about this video of Christopher Gregor walking out while everyone is trying to save his son?
So it's all about framing. You have to convince the jury he wasn't walking out because he didn't care. He was walking out because he did care. It is not ridiculous, Julie. Hard to believe, hard to understand, but it's not ridiculous that if someone you love and care for is getting operated on or is in an emergency medical situation.
There you go, folks. So it's the defense just being the defense. They come up with these ludicrous theories. Rebecca says there are 0 lab reports to back up that there's pneumonia or sepsis that Corey had. So let's hope that the jury sees it the way we do, like I always say, and that justice is served, and they don't see through, oh, Dr. Bodden, this famous medical examiner, we saw him on TV. All right, did you read that below? No reports of that.
You have to take a step back and say, I can't watch this. Now, it's hard though, right? I have a kid. I would want to be there during that medical treatment. However, you've got to convince the jury. You've got to give them an idea that maybe, just maybe, that was the way he was dealing with it. He wasn't abandoning the child. He was simply doing what he could to maintain his sanity in the moment. Don't like it, but that may be the best he can do.
That's a great argument for closings, Franz. Thank you for that. And Dr. Sue, I wanted to throw this particular question at you, dovetailing off of the question to Franz. Not defending Christopher Gregor here. So that being said, would you help me out, Dr. Sue, and look at this from his perspective? Could there be an innocent reason for wanting to walk away? Could he be coping something? Talk to us about the psychology at play.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what they have to say. And when you hear it, it's always a joke. It's just defense term. So let's hear it.
Please.
I mean, there could be, but I don't think there is. And, that would be that he walked out because he was under tremendous stress and pain and that he couldn't watch or be told about his son dying. He couldn't handle the anxiety that was going on. during this time. I mean, there's many reasons that somebody could or would walk out of the room and leave. It is uncommon, but when you're under severe emotional distress, you don't know exactly how you're going to react to something like this.
Sure.
Although when he's walking out, Julie, he doesn't look like he's under distress.
Mm-hmm. You know, and that's a great point, Dr. Sue. And we know that after.
And that's a great point, Rebecca. He didn't just walk out of the hospital. He went to Tennessee, everybody. They're what, New Jersey? And he went to Tennessee. He didn't look stressed out on the phone. It looked like he was planning where he was going, and he was probably called his Tinder friend. Didn't they say earlier he was messaging somebody from Tinder? Absolutely ridiculous, and the jury will see it our way. I really hope so. I'm going to believe that in my heart as we say a prayer and keep just one moment of silence for Corey. All right, folks, say a prayer before tomorrow. That's going to determine a lot of ways that the jury is going to look at and how it's going to go.
Little Corey was pronounced dead. It was within a 30-minute window that he left for good. So we see him leave the ER. He kind of hangs around a bit, and then with little Corey being pronounced dead, the exits within about 30 minutes time from there. Another big focus in this case is the child abuse hotline call that Christopher Gregor made the morning of his son's death. And we've got a portion of that call that was played for the jury on Tuesday. We played it for you in its entirety during the proffer outside of the jury's presence. And the judge said that certain portions of it had to be removed in order to come into evidence. And so in the clip, you hear Gregor alleging that his son was coached by his mother, Brianna Micciolo, to try to diminish him as a father. Take a listen.
His son's mother then decided that to take it upon herself during the 3-hour visit yesterday to take my son to the doctor to the hospital. And she just on video silent essentially from 7:30 until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had no idea what was going on. She would not leave my son's side, and I was not able to be there for my son. And then furthermore, my son came back this morning, and he was stating to me that his mom said that he had to tell the doctor that I had hit him and things of that nature and coaching him.
Our second question of the morning, did that call
affect? Did he blame everybody else for everything, folks? Everything he has an explanation for. Deception detective, we need you on this one. You're going to blast this guy. This guy is unbelievable. I'm getting angry right now.
Call the defendant made to the hotline point to his guilt or point to innocence? Let's bring back in our power panel. Dr. Sue Kornbluth, I'd love to start with you this time. How I wish you could evaluate this guy. You haven't personally, but as a psychology expert, what are your thoughts?
Well, this sounds like, the clients that I have every single day in my practice, that they're calling CPS to report things that we may or may not be true. And one of the things that is reported as a lot is that the mother or the father is coaching the son to say things. However, Julie, it is rare, very rare, that a child will come home and just say to a parent, my mother told me to say that you hit me. This father, in my opinion, would have to have badgered him and asked a lot of questions to get to that. And furthermore, in this particular case, I feel that he made that call to protect himself so that when he went to the hospital and if his child died, he had on record that he had called in. And that's why, in my opinion, Julie, he left the hospital because he was afraid after his son died that he would be arrested. And he was hoping that call would help him. but I don't think it does.
I love what you're saying there, Dr. Sue. A little flight as consciousness of guilt, perhaps, with this guy. Kinsey.
Guilty knowledge, folks. Now, I just gifted a membership. I hope that somebody that really needed and wanted a membership gets it. I would love for Rebecca to receive a membership. That would be awesome. Anyway, let me know who gets that, and anybody else gifting memberships. We're going to start wrapping up the videos unless anyone has anything else, but we're in it to the end of this.
Schofield, I want to go to you next, please. When you think about this call that he made, does it just jump out at you as being a self-serving call?
Absolutely. I mean, it tells me that he knows the difference between right and wrong. He's trying to cover his tracks. And if you add on the addition of the bizarre Google searches that happened around the same time, Google searches about when he could potentially be arrested or what happens when he turns his phone off, on top of deleting, I believe it was thousands of text messages between him and his ex, it all looks like guilt. I think the jury's going to look at all of this combined evidence and say, these are not the actions of a man that is innocent and hasn't harmed his baby.
He should have been protecting his child, Kinsey. Yes, that little boy, when you think about it, he's 6. I mean, really, his whole life ahead of him. What a baby, really. I mean, he deserved to go through grade school and high school. Franz, would you take us home on this point, please? The hotline call, the fact that the judge said, well, look, we've got to redact portions of it. Not all of this could come in to evidence. The jury's heard the gist of it. Tell me, do you think it's helpful for the state in their quest to prove him guilty?
I think it's very helpful to the state because it's not just that he called, but it's listening to his tone and listening to what he's saying when he calls, right? If I'm his defense attorney, I'm like, well, what is he supposed to do? You call a hotline if you think your child's being abused, right? If I'm defending him, but if I'm a prosecutor, I'm like, it's just a little bit too convenient. This feels like he's stacking up some dominoes, just like we've discussed. He's stacking up some dominoes so that he can say later, well, look, wasn't me, it was somebody else. And I think this just doesn't smell right for him, and I think he's in a world of trouble.
I like how you put that, Franz. You're right. It stinks. It stinks. I think his only saving grace is going to be Dr. Michael Baden when he comes in, because we know the manner.
Unless he has a senior moment, folks. Let's hope so. And if there are no reports to say that sepsis was the cause, I don't see how the jury's going to fall for that.
Of death and the cause of death are really both in question. And so that could be his only saving grace. These facts are disgusting. We have to leave it there for now. Big thank.
And we do have to leave it there. We appreciate them. We'll hit this. Rebecca Micciolo, thank you for letting us know Corey is buried with Mom, his great-grandmother. Thank you for telling us that and giving us some of the information. Everybody over here with the crime crew and on this channel and on other channels are grieving for Corey and for you and your family. So thank you for giving us that information, because it makes us feel a little closer, like just to know what's going on from your side, how you feel, where Corey is. I'm glad that he's laid to rest and it's not one of those cases where we never find the body. But also, if you want to reach out to me, Rebecca, guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. I'd love to talk to you as well. I know your daughter can't talk right now, but I'd love to make a rapport with you, have a rapport, answer any questions, and we could be off the record. I talk to a lot of people's parents about a lot of cases and things, and I'd love to do anything to help, even if it's just talking and getting out whatever you'd like to get out and keep the case alive. Let's not forget about this. Even after this, we need to have laws changed, Rebecca. Somebody needs to push for a Corey Micciolo Act, or do something in his name, have some kind of memorial or memory. We need to do something so that people don't forget about this little guy. Yeah, keep the victim's name alive. Absolutely. And I want to do much more than that. Thank you, Natalia. My condolences, Rebecca. Me as well. I appreciate everybody for being on here. Everybody, you guys are amazing. We're on a what day is it? Monday, Memorial Day. We should all be hanging out with our families right now. I'm going to go and hang out with mine. We're going to do some cooking and enjoy each other and love each other. And remember the good things that we do have are each other. Teresa, Dr. Bodden no longer does autopsies. Oh, that's okay. Dr. Bodden, I know exactly what he looks like. He also has a series on like HBO or Okay, I know who he is. So he works as an expert witness. He's getting old. And thank you, Michelle, for saying that. We're sorry, Rebecca. We send prayers to you. Absolute prayers. Whatever your higher power is, I believe in a higher power. And things don't always work the way we want them to, but they do work. And the more energy we spend putting towards something, the further along it's going to be. You put good energy into something, you're going to get good energy out of it. Don't forget that, folks. And also remember to hug your son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, husband, wife. Today's a day that we all get to hang out with each other and relax and love each other. So on that note, I love each and every single one of you. Thank you, Princess Mitch, for getting Duty Ron and getting his attention for me. That opens up my channel to all of you and more people. Positive vibes. Let's remember Corey, Rebecca, you're in our prayers. Tell Brianna that she's in our prayers too. Brie or Brianna that she's in our prayers, and we've been thinking about Corey often. All right. On that note, I love each and every single one of you. And I am out of here until tomorrow at 4 p.m. Good night, y'all.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?